This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Hello and welcome to the GSMC Sports Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jeff Malinoff, and with me once again is Mark Souza. We have a bit to talk about when it comes to the MLB postseason, as the Yankees are out and the Red Sox are still in it. And then we're also going to be talking about some running backs in the NFL, mostly Jamal Charles being signed by the Jaguars, and some other things we'll get into during this podcast. But first, let's talk about the MLB postseason with the Red Sox beating the Yankees 3-1, very handily, I might add.
Yeah, it was pretty comfortable until the ninth inning. Of course, the Yankees threatened late, but the Red Sox take the win 4-3. They close out the series 3-1. I thought it was just after Game 2. Them going on the road and just slamming the door shut on the Yankees, winning in convincing fashion in the last two games. You got to tip your cap to the Red Sox. They faced a little bit of adversity, in Game 2 in Boston, but they turned it around pretty quickly. Game 3 was just an annihilation.
A slaughter.
Yeah, and then last night they showed up, and despite a little bit of maybe a rough ninth from Craig Kimbrell, which was a little unusual, they got it done. They win. They move on. They face the defending American League champions and World Series champions, Houston Astros.
Yeah, so it's going to be a very good matchup. Two of the best teams in baseball at the moment, still in it at least. And on the other side of things, when you talk about the NLCS, the Milwaukee Brewers are facing the Los Angeles Dodgers. So there's a potential World Series rematch, and there's also potential for two new teams to come on to the World Series stage.
Yeah. I mean, I think as for baseball, in general, the league, they got a good couple matchups here. You have the two markets in Boston and Los Angeles, so you have the intrigue of both coasts, two big cities in the U.S., and then you have Houston, which is obviously no stranger to the postseason. As of late, they are the defending champions, so there is intrigue there. And then you have the Brewers, which is kind of like the team that the rest of America is rooting for, would you say?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Milwaukee is definitely the underdog, and people love an underdog. And as we said before in this podcast, the team with the most momentum, the hottest team at the time, usually take it the World Series, and it's happened many times before. And right now, I believe the Brewers are that hottest team in the league. The most momentum, yeah.
Yeah, they've been on fire lately for sure. I mean, they closed out the season on a high note, and they win their first series. You might be right. They might be the team with the most momentum right now. They also are the team with the least experience of the four. So we'll see.
It'd be nice to see Milwaukee in the World Series, in my opinion. But talking about the Red Sox and Yankees, going back to that. Did you think it was going to go? We said it was going to go to 4 or 5 games, which it went to 4, but it really didn't seem like it was a close series, did it?
No, Game 3 kind of changed the whole narrative of the series. I mean, the Yankees go into Boston, they win Game 2, so then you're leaving as a fan after Game 2, like, wow, this is going to be a good series. The Yankees did what they needed to do to take this thing to New York and have an advantage there, but man, Game 3 was just such a statement from Boston that it really showed going into Game 4 that Okay, the Yankees definitely need a win for this to even make it look competitive, because if they lose this series 3-1, especially in the fashion that they did after Game 3, yeah, I'd say ultimately it wasn't much of a series.
Yeah, I mean, 16-1 really speaks for itself. Even though that was only one of the games, I think that put a huge exclamation point on who was taking this series. I don't think you can come back from a deficit like that.
Yeah. So what did you think of the game? Yesterday we talked about it a little bit. I mentioned on here that I thought if the Yankees were going to win, especially with Sabathia pitching, that they would have had to get out to an early lead just to kind of change the momentum from Game 3. I mean, when you lose 16-1, I think it's important to turn around and be the team that scores first, maybe gain some confidence, momentum. And they didn't do it. It was actually the Red Sox who scored first, and they threatened early, they threatened often. Sabathia is obviously not the same pitcher as he used to be. Who knows where he'll be pitching next year? But did you, when you saw the game, when you saw the Red Sox kind of take the lead early, were you thinking that the game was over?
I honestly did. I was like, wow, 4-1. I don't see. I guess it's going to be all Red Sox, and they did make a comeback in the final inning, but again, it wasn't enough.
Yeah, I mean, even early, the Red Sox didn't score till the third inning where they had 3 men cross the plate, but the first inning they were threatening. I don't even know if Sabathia had a clean inning from what I can remember.
Probably not. I don't recall him having. Well, I mean, it was. I don't remember when it was. They got the 4 runs in. It was early in the game too. It was like by the 4th or 5th inning, it was already 4-1, and they held that lead. And CC Sabathia is way past his prime. He's not as when the Yankees signed him all those years ago. He was a hot commodity, but ever since he's been with the Yankees, he's been a disappointment in my opinion.
Yeah, as is the case with a lot of these big Major League Baseball contracts, it seems like the players never really live up to the expectations. It's not just him, but yeah, there's guys like Albert Pujols. Like, yes, they're great players and they've had great careers, but you're paying them for their past, and that doesn't help you in the future. Ultimately, it is a big cost to the team, to the organization. As players we see are overpaid, sometimes vastly overpaid. But, Sabathia, he has given the Yankees some good years, although I'm sure when they look back at it, they'll say, probably not what we paid for.
Oh, absolutely. But do you think Stanton's that guy also? Like, he's getting with his...
That was such a bad at bat.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. It was a joke.
I get it. He strikes out a lot. Like, I get it, but... It's different when it's the middle of the season than, when he
got burned
when the season's on the line.
Yeah. It was do you think he could handle the pressure, or do you think
I think he can't handle Kimbrel. Kimbrel, he's faced his last 14 breaking balls that he's faced against Kimbrel, he's swung and missed 13 of them.
Do you think he's overrated?
I think that when you're paid like that, when you are supposed to be one of the best hitters in Major League Baseball, I think it's inexcusable to strike out that many times. That's what I think.
Well, if you remember at the beginning of this season, he's had a game where he struck out 5 times, and he got booed out of the building in his own stadium.
Yeah, and how many games did he have where he struck out 4 times and 3 times, and you know what I mean? Like
he's a strikeout. He tries to kill the ball too much. He doesn't try to put the bat on the ball. He tries to always hit home runs, and that. It's
fine. It's fine if the situation calls for it.
You don't always need to hit a home run. Sometimes
especially last night.
Yeah,
last night.
You needed to get on base. You didn't need to hit. I know it was 1-run game, but you're trying to kill the ball, and obviously it didn't work. So maybe just try to get, like after 2 strikes, just try to get the bat hitting the ball and get a base hit and keep the momentum going.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot strike out that often in big moments. I mean, he struck out 211 times this year. Like, there used to be a time where if you struck out 100 times in a season, like, that was like a laugh. You were the laughing stock of the team, or
the thing
you
with
know.
that is it's forgotten about. Like his strikeouts are almost forgiven because he hits so many home runs and all that stuff. Like Chris Davis has just as many strikeouts as he does, but Chris Davis has no other like hits or anything like that. And he's considered one of the worst seasons in Major League history. And then you're looking at Stanton, who has that many strikeouts as well, but he has those home runs to like make people for like almost like not see it and like have a big mirror in the way or a fog of his poor at bats. Like all those didn't happen.
You know, I don't know. I think he had a decent year, but his numbers are definitely down for the regular season this year. He struck out just so many times again in the playoffs, but if you look at it, I mean, the guy struck out 211 times this year. His previous high was 170. So
that's like
he added 41 strikeouts. He added about 48 strikeouts from last season.
Oh, it was a bad season, no doubt about it.
He had 21 less homers and 32 less RBIs. He had 15 less walks. That
well, if you remember,
he's pretty much down in every single category.
He was the reigning MVP.
Yes, because his 2017, but he was. I don't even think his season this year was close to that.
No, of course not.
Which is like, you don't expect a guy to win MVP every year. Like you don't, you have a caliber player, and then he can win it. He's in the running. He's in the mix. He's in the conversation. But this year he wasn't even close, and his numbers were drastically different.
Well, that's why people think like this contract he had with the Marlins that the Yankees picked up was too much for that guy. And honestly, I think they're right. This contract is a little over the top.
Yeah, we'll see ultimately how that deal shakes out. The Marlins got a lot of grief for it, but maybe with their rebuild and a new ownership and a new outlook, maybe they will actually benefit from this trade.
Maybe, but they really got him for pennies on the dollar.
They did. It's all about how the prospects shape out, like how they.
That's asking for a lot of out of the prospects for that trade.
Well, if the guy you traded for was 59 homers, 132 RBIs, I think that's harder to replace than 38 for 100 RBIs and 211 strikeouts, if that makes sense. So, like, if they're chasing the Stanton that they traded, then maybe that trade won't work well in their favor. But if they traded a good outfielder but not a MVP caliber player or, top 10 position player, then I don't know. It might work out.
Yeah, it's just the contract is just ridiculous in itself, even for anybody in the league.
So speaking of contracts, it's a big off season for the Yankees as Sabathia comes off the books. That will free up a lot of money. However, Brian Cashman stated previously that he wanted to stay under the luxury tax line. So it doesn't look like there'll be big spenders this offseason. They still are paying Jacoby Ellsbury $21 million for the next 2 years individually.
$21 million per year?
Per year. They signed him to that, was it 5 years, $150 million contract when he signed with the Yankees?
21 is absurd for anybody.
Yeah, so Sabathia's $25 million comes off, but they still have Ellsbury's $21 that they have to pay him. So Jeff, my question to you is, Cashman has said they don't want to spend over the luxury line. He also said they don't foresee more trades where they have to give up a lot of prospects. He's really unwilling to do that. So how does the Yankees improve that starting rotation that clearly needs an addition, probably even two players? How do they fix that if they're unwilling to spend money and getting deals that draft picks are involved?
I don't know. Honestly,
I don't know either.
Yeah, you can't release him because you're still going to have to pay him. You're in a lose-lose situation. And if you trade him, who's going to take up that contract? No one. And the Yankees are already taking up a huge amount of contracts with Stanton alone.
That's the thing. If they're trying to free up Jacoby Ellsbury's contract, they would have to give up players to make that deal happen, right? I mean, no team is taking $21 million of wasted money.
No one, yeah.
Unless there's a catch, right? Unless there's...
Absolutely not.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how this is going to play out.
If it was like Babe Ruth or like Joe DiMaggio getting 21, people would still be hesitant to take that contract.
So get this. Jacoby Ellsbury signed 7-year, $153 million deal back in 2014. Obviously, his tenure with the Yankees has been nothing short of a disaster. But yeah, they're stuck with his contract until 2020. So I don't know if they'll exercise. They can exercise a club option to buy out the remainder of his contract, but
that's a lot of money.
Yeah, I just read a story too that the Yankees have removed his parking spot from Yankee Stadium.
Are you serious?
I'm not kidding.
That's kind of messed up. You're not even he's not even off the team yet.
Yeah, but he will be gone for a while. He had season-ending surgery on his hip and to repair a torn labrum. I don't know. Do you think we'll see him play again for the Yankees?
I don't think so. But I don't know where he'll play. Do you think he'll be brought down to the minors or something to try to improve? What are you going to do?
I just feel like he hasn't been relevant since he signed that contract.
Even with that contract, he was like, that was a pretty weak free agency class type of thing. You know what I'm saying?
So we're going to see what the Yankees do from here. It's super interesting to see how, because they have hitters, okay? I don't think they need to do anything on that side of the ball, but they definitely need to improve that starting rotation. And Severino cannot be your best pitcher. Like in my opinion.
They also need defensive aces.
Yeah, I mean, they can shore up some position, but that requires a little, like, they don't have to spend a lot of money to get, like, utility-type players or defensive players to come in late innings. So they don't need to, like, spend a whole lot on that side, for position players, because those guys will come relatively cheap. They're not looking for power. They're not looking for anything special except for maybe to shore up their bench. But the pitching is always a premium in Major League Baseball, as we know. Always a premium.
Yeah.
Like, you have to spend money to get pitching or make trades. Like, you can't. No, pitchers aren't getting lowballed.
You don't have a pitcher, you literally can't play baseball.
But you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have to.
So the Yankees are kind of in trouble is our point here.
Yankees are kind of in trouble, and I think we should go to a break, and then we'll come back. We'll preview the ALCS, NLCS, some two, like, really intriguing matchups,
I
in my
like
opinion.
both matchups. I really do.
Yeah.
And we're going to get on more of that when we return.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. We just finished talking about the Red Sox taking the divisional series from the Yankees for 3-1, and we also were talking about how the Yankees are kind of in trouble at the moment with the money they've been spending and the contracts they have. But we're going to move on from that. We're going to go on to the American League Championship Series between the Red Sox and the Houston Astros. One is looking to repeat as American League champions. The other is trying to get back into that World Series they haven't been to since 2013. Who do you have in this?
It's a good question. I was kind of going back and forth yesterday thinking about it after I knew that the Red Sox would be coming away. So
we've got to flip a coin maybe again.
You want to flip a coin? I think
don't have a quarter on me.
I think I'll just go with my gut here. I think the Red Sox will win.
Oh, really?
In 7 games.
7 games.
7 games.
This is going full 7.
I think this has the potential to be one of the greatest postseason series we've ever seen. Potential.
Wow.
Potential.
That is a big assumption you're making.
There's some big players playing really good ball right now.
Greatest postseason of all time.
One of. Relax.
That's still a drastic opinion.
Yeah, I mean,
It's an opinion, granted, but it's a tad over exaggerated, don't you think? Well, unless we see some of the most amazing plays or hits or games we've ever seen.
I think that's what I'm saying. Like the Red Sox and the Astros, I think that they will provide us with some late inning drama, some big hits, some even good pitching performances. I like Altuve, Bregman on the Astros. Yes, go ahead.
We said the same thing about the Yankees and Red Sox. Thinking this people thought that was going to be going to 5 and it was going to be close. The whole way.
I thought it was going to be a good series, but I didn't think when I look at this series, I think that the Astros and Red Sox are both playing exceptional baseball. I think they're the 2 best teams in baseball. I would say that they're better than both teams in the National League. I like the winner of this series to win it all, so that's why I think that this matchup, the Astros have the experience, the Red Sox have the history. Let's go, man. Let's see it. I think it'll be good.
So you say Sox in 7.
Sox in 7.
I'm going to agree with you and say Red Sox, but I'm going to say in 6 because their pitching rotation is so deep. I think they don't lose 3 games.
The Red Sox?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
David Price is good for at least 1 loss.
That's why I'm saying 6 games. But the pitching rotation and the bullpen of the Red Sox is what's going to put them over the top.
Are you worried about Kimbrel?
No. I still think it's the Red Sox are the better team and have the better lineup.
Yeah, but I mean,
all due respect to the Astros, they're a great team. I'm not discrediting them at all, but I'm just saying the Red Sox, when you look at it from top to bottom, they just have the better team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, it's hard to say. I think that the Astros, it's one of those series where, like, if the Astros play at their best, they'll win. If the Red Sox play at their best, they'll win. Because I think both teams are just good enough.
That's how sports works.
No, because sometimes that there is a difference in talent. That just because you play the best or you play better than your opponent doesn't mean you win.
Oh, you got a point there. I see what you're saying.
Because they both have the potential to be the best team in baseball, wouldn't you say? Like
absolutely.
In any given series, like.
But they are both the best teams in baseball as of right now.
Like
you could say the thing was the Yankees and Red Sox, but right now it's the Astros and Red Sox, no question. But the Red Sox are the best team in baseball right now.
Like
we can agree on that.
Oh yeah. I truly believe though that if the Astros put up an A performance, that the Red Sox will have to put up an A+ performance. Like it's going to be that tight.
Oakland A performance, huh?
Yeah, R.I.P. the Oakland A's season, huh?
I think they'll be back.
No, definitely. So you like the Red Sox lineup and rotation a little bit more?
Yeah. I just top to bottom, I just think the Red Sox are better. Like looking through like rotation and bullpen and defense and hitting, like they have 2 potential AL MVPs on their team, the Red Sox that is, and they probably have a Cy Young in their pitching rotation for all we know. Like they probably has at least one in the finalists at the moment, and you can say the same thing for like Gold Glove winners on that team as well.
Do you think that the Astros are at their absolute confidence right now, knowing that they can win it because they have before, and it seems like they have clutch players on their team?
I could see they do have clutch players. I agree with that, but I think they're going in like they shouldn't go in confident saying we've been here before. They should go in saying new season, we have the experience here, but bottom line is we got to keep playing at our best, and we got to play like every game is the World Series. You can't think about the past. You got to think about right now. Yeah,
Bregman is. I feel like he is just a awesome postseason player. What do you think about him?
Oh, I like him a lot.
It seems like whenever there's a big moment in an Astros playoff game,
he's there
he's
one way or another.
Yeah.
Hitting a home run, making a diving catch or just something.
Seems like he just he enjoys the moment. Like he likes the opportunity when it's his turn to make a play.
He's clutch.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting. Would you say that if the Astros were the home team in this series, that they would be the favorite? Let's throw out the records and just look at the teams. Like if
saying if the Astros had home field advantage?
Yeah. But I mean, disregard. I know you're probably going to say well, that means they would have won more games, and they probably would have. I get that part, but just based on the team's rosters, if you say okay, how about the Astros get 4 games of this series instead of 3?
Oh, I could totally see it happening.
Yeah, would you say that they would be the favorite though? Would you expect them to win if the home field advantage was reversed?
I still think it's the same outcome, but honestly, when it comes to these two teams, home field is going to play a huge factor. But the bottom line is who's going to get that hit. I think all games are going to be close. I don't think it's going to be a blowout like in the Yankees Red Sox series. I think there's always going to be that one play that defines the game. And it's just a matter of who's making that play. Is it going to be an Astros player or is it going to be a Red Sox player? Because everyone can be clutch at any moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Sale, Price, and Porcello. I'm assuming that'll be their 3-man rotation.
I see Sale and Porcello winning their 2 games. Price I can see losing.
Okay, so let's say Verlander, Cole, and Keuchel are the 3 for Houston. Verlander likely will, be their game 1 starter. So Verlander versus Sale. Who do you like between those two?
I like Verlander, to be honest.
In game 1?
Sale I can totally take. I like Verlander just because of his history and he's been there before and he's been on fire at one point. But I think Sale right now, momentum wise, Sale's the better pitcher, and I like Verlander. Don't get me wrong. I just said that, but Sale, I think, is going to take it.
Oh, you actually think it'll be Sale? Okay.
You like that turn of events?
You confused me for a second, but
that's what I do. I confuse people.
And then game 2, again, we're assuming the probables, but if it lines up this way, David Price against Garrett Cole.
I like Garrett Cole, to be honest.
Yeah, I like a split there.
Yeah, they're it's pretty even, but I think Cole's that's gonna be the game the Astros
What about
win.
Keuchel Porcello game 3 in Houston?
That's also even, don't you think?
I'm gonna give a slight edge to Porcello, but yeah,
I might have to give it to Porcello also.
I mean, these are good matchups.
I forgot about the Garrett Cole signing the Astros got this offseason. That was a huge addition to their rotation.
Exactly. And that's a kind of player that the Yankees will have to try and get if they want to compete with the Astros and the Red Sox next year. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Let's talk about the National League. So we both have Red Sox.
I say 6, you say 7.
Yeah, but I think we both think that it'll be a really good series.
Oh yeah, it could be close games.
We won't know if it's going to be historical, but we think that it would be
It's going to be
Really
competitive.
good. Yeah.
That's for sure.
All right, so let's talk about Brewers and Dodgers.
Okay, let's just put our predictions in first, then we'll talk about the teams. I had the Brewers winning this. I'll say they win this in 5.
Yeah, I am worried about that prediction. Brewers in 5. In 5?
Yeah. They're just the hottest.
They're going to beat Kershaw twice?
Kershaw in the postseason has not impressed me. I'm going to be honest.
Sure, but I don't know. I don't know about the Brewers pitching staff. I think they'll be able to hit the ball. I mean, do you think they'll knock around Kershaw?
Wait, ask that again?
You think they'll be able to knock around Kershaw?
Oh, yeah. Kershaw gets rattled in the postseason. He gets rattled really easily when you think about it, because when he makes mistakes, he screams and yells and curses. Like you gotta be a little more.
I'm rooting for the Brewers, but I think that the Dodgers will win the series. Dodgers
in what?
In 6.
Okay. I still think the Brewers have the most momentum out of any team in baseball at the moment, out of any of the four that are in the CSs.
The only thing that worries me is that the Brewers are the team that I have no idea how they'll play. And it's exciting at the same time for a fan to tune in to see, is this team going to step up? Are there players on their team that are going to embrace the moment? But do you see what I'm saying there? I don't know. Will the moment be too big for them is my question. Will it be? Will it not be? I don't know. We can have our opinions, but do you see what I'm saying? I know the Dodgers, what to expect from them. I know what to expect from the Astros. I know what to expect from the Red Sox. The Brewers.
I don't know what to expect from the Dodgers, is what you're saying?
No. I do know what to expect from the Dodgers.
The Brewers, you're saying?
From the Brewers, exactly.
Okay, I thought you said Dodgers.
The Brewers are the variable here. They could be really good and win in 5 games, like you said, for me, or they could
sweep the Rockies.
Very impressive fashion too.
Yeah, and they were just as good as the Dodgers, in my opinion, during the season.
The one thing though that the Rockies, I think the Rockies was a good matchup for them. I don't know if the Dodgers are the best matchup for the Brewers.
You don't think so?
I don't know. It's not that I don't think so. That's just what I'm worried.
I just think the Brewers have the most momentum, and that's going to play a huge factor in this.
Sure. Dodgers, they handled the Braves pretty easily, right?
Yeah. Yeah, true, but I think the Brewers are a different team than the Braves are. The Braves were in kind of a weak division.
Yeah.
The NL Central is a little more challenging than the East. Don't you think?
Say that again?
Don't you think the NL Central is a little more challenging compared to the Braves than their division in the NL East?
The NL East?
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. The Braves had that thing locked up for a while.
And the Brewers off.
The Brewers had to play 163 baseball games to win that division.
Yeah. But it was against the Cubs, who are still a great team, no doubt about it. And they beat the Cubs. And they took that division away from them. And also, they swept the Rockies, who were just as good as the Dodgers were. That division was also close.
Yeah.
And you're looking at it, and if the Dodgers had a hard time with the Rockies and the Brewers had no trouble with the Rockies, you could say they had the momentum going into this and taking it from the Dodgers just as they took it from the Rockies.
Before we wrap up this segment, I want to ask you a couple questions. Astros, Red Sox, you said 6 games, right?
Yes.
Give me your...
No, 5. I said 5.
No. For Red Sox.
Oh, Red Sox and...
Yeah, going back.
Yeah.
Give me your MVP. Your series MVP. Or just a player that will... You can either give me your MVP or this player needs to do well for them to win.
Needs to do well?
Yeah. Sale's your guy?
Sale's going to be starting multiple times, so he needs to do it.
Okay, so who do you think your MVP, your ALCS MVP will be?
Get back to me on that. What's yours first? I feel like you already have yours.
I'm going Kershaw.
Oh, Kershaw.
Yeah. And no, for NLCS, I'm sorry. ALCS, I will say... I'm going to say Porcello.
Red Porcello?
Yeah. He pitches Game 3 and Game 6, and I think he'll win both.
I'm going to say Mookie Betts gets the MVP.
That's a good bet to take.
Yeah, an AL MVP candidate and also going to be the CS MVP.
So yeah, I'll say Porcello. That might not be the guy that you were thinking of, or maybe a popular
Should
pick.
I go with a non-MVP candidate?
What do you mean?
Should I go with a non-AL MVP candidate to take the CS MVP?
What do you mean?
Like instead of Betts or JD Martinez, I go with
gotcha.
Hanley Ramirez.
Oh yeah, if you feel so inclined, be my guest. So NL MVP, you have the Brewers winning the National League. Who's your NL MVP for this series? Sorry, NLCS MVP.
You say Kershaw's your MVP?
Yeah, for this series.
You think he's gonna just those potential 3 games he's gonna pitch, or he's gonna?
I think that he won't need to go 3. I think he'll win Game 1 and Game 4. And yeah, so 2 wins.
Lorenzo Cain.
That's a good one.
He's been there before. He's a leader, in my opinion. I think he could take it.
Gotcha. Okay, so we'll see how this plays out. Game 1 for the Dodgers Brewers starts Friday. Game 1 for Red Sox Astros starts Saturday.
That's a
So,
long time from now.
we'll head to a short break, and when we get back, we'll talk about some running backs in the NFL, some news, some injuries, some updates, and some interesting
We
things.
will see you there.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. We've talked about the Red Sox and Yankees series. We've talked about the future NLCS and ALCS. Now we're going to go to the NFL. Jamal Charles has just signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars, the former four-time Pro Bowler, who was a huge offensive weapon for the Kansas City Chiefs. He didn't do that well in Denver, but now he's with Jacksonville. Do you think this is a huge addition with the loss of Leonard Fournette?
I don't know about huge addition. I think that if Jamal Charles was still...
I think Yeldon's still going to be the one running back?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they signed him because Fournette, they don't know how long he's going to be out for. And they had to put Corey Grant, who was Yeldon's backup, on IR. He actually broke his foot over the weekend in their last game. So they need depth there. Yeldon's also been dealing with an ankle injury. So behind Yeldon, they just had a practice squad player, and they go out and they sign Jamal Charles. Jamal Charles had recently worked out for the Jaguars, so they're familiar with him. They know what he has, but if you're asking me if I think that this is a big move, I would say no, because I think Jamal Charles, after suffering so many injuries, he's just not the same player. And if he was, he wouldn't be a free agent this late in the year.
Okay, that makes sense. But do you? All right. So with Leonard Fournette gone, I'm just going to go back to that addition with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Do you see him going right into the offense, like working with the offense right away?
I mean, they just signed him, so he has to get up to speed.
So you don't think he's starting this Sunday?
No, absolutely not. If Yeldon is banged up, I expect Yeldon to play. I would say that Yeldon will play 80 to 85% of the snaps. They probably put Jamal Charles in the game for third down duties, maybe just to spell Yeldon from when he gets a little bit tired after a few plays. What do you think? Do you think that his role will be big, or do you think they might limit him?
Probably limit, I would say. Can't put all the pressure on one guy type of thing. But again, we'll see. But no, I think that I truly believe that they're going to limit him. They're not going to put too much on the guy.
Yeah, unfortunately for Jamal Charles, he was one of the most exciting running backs in the NFL. He had some great seasons. But in 2015, he tore his right ACL. The second time that he had torn an ACL, the first time on this knee, but he had multiple knee surgeries in 2016. It just seemed like it was a bad, I don't know if it was a bad tear or if his body just didn't react to the initial surgery. Usually now in this day and age, ACL tears are pretty easy to fix. We don't see players like
easy
ending.
To fix is a strong statement.
But I mean, it used to be like in the 80s, the 70s, 80s. Like if you tore your ACL, your career is over, right? Like now it's like we've seen players tear their ACL. Like Deshaun Watson's already torn, 3 ACLs? Like he's torn both of them and then another one. And then Frank Gore tore his ACL twice.
He did?
Yeah, in college.
Oh, in college.
Both.
I was like, I'm pretty sure he has been injured in the NFL.
There's so many guys that like tear their ACL and come back, but for him,
come back strong because Frank Gore is one of the top running backs. Rushing yards wise. For
him, I mean, even Brady tore his ACL. Like all these guys, they tear it and then they come back, they rehab it. The best doctors in the world fix them up. They have the best rehab opportunities. But for him, it just hasn't worked out very well, which is super unfortunate. Do you remember how exciting he was? Like Jamal Charles.
He was fast.
And I think he had the NFL record for some time for highest rushing average. Like he had a 5.3 yards per carry average.
He was a fantasy football monster at one point.
Yeah, he was so much fun to watch. So here's to him making some progress, maybe having a decent season, maybe, kind of reigniting that career.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's he has a chance with a good Jacksonville team. I hope he does well. I wish him the best. But we will see how things turn out. We will see where Jamal Charles how he does in the new offense and a new AFC South.
We'll see how they use
fresh AFC South, like a good AFC South, not like a bad one we've seen in the past.
It's nice that he's joining a good team too. Like they could use him. Like they're a good team, but they could use him. Like he has an opportunity here. So let's talk about another running back, Adrian Peterson. He injured his shoulder. I believe it was a separated shoulder. Dislocated shoulder on Monday Night Football. So of course Drew Brees and his record-breaking performance. But Peterson said that he dislocated his shoulder on one of his two decent plays, productive plays in the game. He says he's not going to miss time. What do you think about that?
That's a big assumption.
They host Carolina on Sunday, so he says he'll be there.
Would you play him though?
If I'm Jay Gruden?
Yeah.
If I'm Jay Gruden and 32-year-old Adrian Peterson says, I'm good to go, I'm going to play him.
But how much?
We'll see how effective he is.
Yeah.
Chris Thompson was also banged up in the game,
too. He's
too.
not what he used to be, is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah, Chris. Oh, yeah, but he's had a good season. I mean, other than the Saints game, he started strong,
Yeah. Yeah, but he's coming off ACL injuries and all this stuff, and he always, ever since his, return to, as soon as he left Minnesota, his career kind of ended almost.
Yeah, we'll see how he does, but I think he has a good chance to have a rest of the season, a good rest of the season where it seems like he's fit into this Washington office pretty seamlessly. So let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles and their running back situation. So Jay Ajayi was put on IR this week.
That's rough.
For a torn ACL, which leaves them with Corey Clement, Wendell Smallwood, and Darren Sproles as their running backs. They kind of use all their running backs all the time, so it's kind of a committee approach that they employ. But we've been hearing that they are interested in Le'Veon Bell. What do you make of that?
I don't see them getting him, to be honest.
Is there a team, though, that it would make more sense for than the Eagles to go out and give up a second-round pick for Le'Veon? Even though it's not a guaranteed long-term solution, to rent him for the rest of the year.
Just for playoffs consideration?
Well, yeah, the rest of the season. It seems like the Eagles are positioned well to be that team where they can take the risk and be like, yeah, we'll give you a second-round pick for 9 games of Le'Veon Bell plus the playoffs. It would be intriguing,
That's a tough one. I would...
It would have to be a playoff team, right? Like a playoff contender to give up a second-round pick.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think. What playoff contending team needs a running back?
Needs a running back.
Everyone kind of needs a Le'Veon Bell type running back, but who needs one the most?
Green Bay?
Yeah, but do they have the money to...
it's not about. It won't be about the money.
Not about the money, but are they willing to risk the first round pick for Le'Veon for those 9
Maybe
games?
not a first, but if the Steelers are asking for a second, maybe they do.
I think they're asking for a second and a good player, aren't they?
Yeah, we don't know what that really means, but let's just assume that it's a
second round pick in Ty Montgomery.
I don't
Is that
know.
too much?
I don't know if Ty Montgomery's a good player.
He's
currently like the third running back on.
He used to be number one.
Yeah, when they out of necessity they did use him. It's hard for me to pick another team though that's in a better spot than Philadelphia to make that gamble to like say, okay, we think we'll be picking in the 50s anyways, so we'll give you your second round pick. Here's a decent player. I don't know who that player would be.
What team do you think will trade for him but can get him to re-sign by the end of the season?
Well, he can't re-sign by the end of the season.
I meant.
You meant like
stay
has a
with
good
the team,
chance.
like with free agency wise, he will stay with the team.
I think that at this point, no team is safe. In that regard, like I think Le'Veon Bell has been very clear that he's going to go where the money is. So I don't know if there's a team that he would prefer.
Who has the highest salary cap right now?
Cleveland's up there. The Jets are up there. The 49ers are still up there. There's
of those three. Let's just go those three teams. Who do you think he goes to?
That's a good question. I could see Cleveland.
Really?
Because he's familiar with the division. He's familiar with playing in those conditions. And it would be the Browns sticking it to the Steelers, right? Like, hey, we're a new Browns team. We have a new focus, a new perspective going forward. This isn't your daddy's Cleveland Browns. Does that make sense?
Daddy's Cleveland Browns. This isn't our Cleveland Browns. I mean, Daddy's Cleveland Browns were the 80s Cleveland Browns. And those
Wouldn't that be interesting, though, if he stayed in the division and went to Cleveland?
Yes, but the top three. This is the top three teams right now. What you said the three teams were?
I think it was Cleveland and the Jets and the Niners. I don't know if they're top three, but I know that they have space.
The top three right now with the number one team with $55 million is Cleveland, $53 million is Indianapolis, and then it's $32 million San Francisco.
The Jets close?
The Jets are sixth, $19 million.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Okay.
So Cleveland has the most money, and they have a need, and they're a rival of Pittsburgh. It would make... Like, Cleveland's okay right now. Carlos Hyde is a decent player, but they signed him to a one-year deal, I believe. He got a multi-year deal. But they can cut bait with him after this year. And I think that they would to gain somebody like that, You
want to know who the number 32 team is?
For money, it's Philadelphia. They can't pay him.
This is as of... Let me check the date on this. This is updated. Tampa Bay.
Is that for next season, or is that for cap space remaining?
Cap space remaining.
So look at next season because some of these...
the cap is $177 million.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay has $242 million in cap in salary.
I don't even know how that's possible.
Yeah, they're over the limit. That's how bad their money situation
I know that for contracts that are for next season and beyond, next year Philadelphia has the least amount of money on projected cap space, and so I don't think they'd be able to keep them long term. They'd totally make this deal thinking for the present, not for the future. So,
okay,
would that boost their chances?
If you're Cleveland, do you use all that? Like, how much you paying him?
If you're Cleveland and you want him, you're going to have to pay him a minimum of like $15 million a year. I would say that it would be like a 4-year.
So,
I think that the Browns or any team will have to pay him something like...
With the 49ers, let's just look at the team that's like less in money, like the 49ers at $32 million.
They won't get him.
With 15, they said it was a possibility. But with the $15 million, you said they still have $15 million in cap space. They can get a lot of good quality players with $15 million. They can be, and with Jimmy Garoppolo being healthy next season, that team could be a contender for next offseason.
Right, but he's not going there.
I can see him going to Indianapolis as well. They also have $53 million.
Indianapolis would be a tremendous opportunity for him. Indianapolis and Cleveland, I would say, are the two best spots for him because they have money, they have a need, and he would come in and he would definitely, like Andrew Luck and Le'Veon Bell, that'd be fun. And Roethlisberger is getting older, so Andrew Luck and Bell, they would have a chance to do this for 4 or 5 years. But I would say that it's going to cost a team somewhere between 75 and 80 million over 5 years for Le'Veon, and I say he's going to get like 40 mil guaranteed. I think he's going to get an absurd contract for a running back.
Well, we will see. We're going to take a short break right now. When we come back, we'll talk about anything else topic-wise in the sports that we want to discuss.
Got some news in UFC.
Ooh, goody. We will see you there. Can't wait.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. We've talked about baseball. We've talked about football. Now let's go to other news, and we decided we want to talk about for this sports podcast, the final segment of the day. You say you got news in the UFC?
I do.
Tell us. Enlighten us.
All right.
Inform us.
So UFC 229. I think most of us either saw or heard about heavyweight Derek Lewis in that awesome post-fight interview with Joe Rogan. Do you recall?
Yes, I don't think we can repeat what he said, though.
He said something
don't. Let's not.
My boys are hot. Anyways, yeah, he had a tremendous interview.
I thought you were about to say, actually say it.
If you haven't seen it or heard it, please go find it. It's on YouTube. You can see it. One of the best interviews in some time in sports. Very candid, very honest, and very, very entertaining. However, the news here, Jeff, is that Derek Lewis has turned this incredible come-from-behind victory into a title fight with Daniel Cormier. He's fighting UFC 230, and that's going to be
the very next event.
That's going to be the very next event, November 3rd in New York in Madison Square Garden. So he has turned this incredible comeback win and interview into a title fight against Cormier. What do you think?
That is a very short amount of time to prepare for Cormier in a heavyweight title fight.
Big time.
That's absurdly short.
It is. He just fought.
Well, I guess that's short for Cormier as well.
He fought 4 days ago.
Was Cormier already booked for the show?
He was not.
So they're both going to be coming in.
So a lot of people expect. Okay, so here's the situation. Cormier says that he's going to retire in the spring. Okay,
that's bollocks.
I think he's about to turn 40. It's probably true.
As soon as he fights Brock, that's when he'll retire.
Well, that's the thing, is that most people expected Brock to be his next fight somewhere around January.
He's fighting Brock. He has to.
He probably will. But he is fighting Derek Lewis. They will headline a UFC 230 again at Madison Square Garden. So it will be interesting to see what happens here. I hope Derek Lewis does well, but for me, it's hard to see with that type of fighter in Cormier. I don't know if Derek Lewis has the cardio for it.
Cormier is pound for pound probably the best fighter in the world.
Yeah, I just think it's, Cormier can wear him down. But with a guy like Lewis, he's got grenades in his hands. Like, that dude can knock anyone out. So it will be interesting to say the least. Any other news or interesting tidbits in sports? Because I have one if you don't.
I thought you were my go-to. To be honest, I thought that we were going to talk about longer.
Gotcha. Well, I have one for you.
Okay.
Shiloh Sanders.
What about him?
Do you know who he is?
Is he a UFC fighter?
He is a football player.
Wait, football or...
A high school football player.
Okay.
Who's the son of somebody very famous.
Oh, I think I've heard of this story, but go on.
Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
It's Deion Sanders' son.
Isn't it illegitimate?
No, I don't believe so. That's a weird thing to say. Anyways, he got a offer.
It's not a weird thing to say because a lot of NFL players have kids in the back room, you know what I mean?
I guess. But Shiloh Sanders, the son of Deion Sanders, gets an offer from Florida State to carry on the family
Shocking.
legacy.
It's like his dad went there. Oh, wait, his dad did go there.
Yeah, so he's ranked in the top 300 prospect in the country. So he's not
What's his exact number?
290.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's not, I'd say, a 5-star recruit, but...
Probably 4-star.
But yeah, 290 is not bad at all.
Out of the entire country? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So he actually had offers from Georgia, Texas A&M, Nebraska, Oregon, and South Carolina, to name a few.
He went to his dad's alma mater. I totally understand why he went there.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool that he gets to kind of follow in his dad's footsteps. I bet Deion is very proud of him. You got any other interesting things in sports that you'd like to talk about before we leave today?
Just that I'm excited for October's postseason time. We're going to see a lot of commercials based off for Call of Duty and all that good stuff because that's when those games get released. And
is that what you're looking forward to?
Well, I mean, that game's coming out in a couple days, and I'm getting it. I'm excited. And I also pre-ordered Red Dead Redemption 2 and Fallout 76. But anyways, I won't talk about that. If I could, I would. But I think that's all we have time for today. What do you think?
Yeah, we are all set.
Yeah, it's a pretty slow... Honestly, it was a pretty slow news day.
Tomorrow, though, we'll be back at it. We'll preview that Thursday night football game. We'll talk about other things, too.
We got lots more to talk about this coming week. And we will see you next time.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.